Of all the Canadian-fought battles of World War I, the Battle of Vimy Ridge is considered by many historians to be one of the more profound ones, and a defining moment in Canadian history. Vimy is significant first and foremost because of the remarkable victory. According to historian Pierre Berton, they said it couldn't be done, but we did it. Canadians broke through and maintained a tactical position where every previous attempt had failed. In addition, it was the start of successive victories against the Germans until the end of the war, coined the 100 Days. So what was Vimy? Vimy Ridge was a strategically important hill overlooking the Douai Plains of northern France. During the Battle of Vimy Ridge, between the 4 Canadian Corps divisions and the Germans, it was treacherous to approach due to the nearly invincible positioning of German machine guns behind it. Consequently, French troops had failed to maintain it after 3 tries. Then, the Canadians stepped in. Preparation resulted in drastically lower casualties. In fact, no other Allied assault on the Western Front was better coordinated. Prior to attack, Allied troops gained intelligence through aerial scouting, night raids, flash spotting, and maps. This allowed about 83% of German guns to be eliminated. British General Julian Byng also commissioned a full-scale replica of the area where troops could rehearse attack patterns. Before attacking, sappers dug subways, which allowed attack from the front, behind, and below. Canadian troops also shelled their positions for over a month. The battle started on April 9, 1917, when the Vimy Glide attack pattern commenced. Infantry would advance 100 yards for every 3 minutes, with a creeping barrage of artillery covering them from behind. Allies used naval guns, tanks, howitzers, and cannons, so many that there was one every 10 meters. Much of the battle was from the trenches. Trenches provided cover for machine guns. However, many soldiers developed trench foot, a condition where feet became severely infected from the filthy mud in the trench. Finally, by April 12th, Vimy Ridge was captured. However, there were many casualties on both the German and Allied sides. 20,000 German troops were dead or wounded, and 4,000 captured. Allied troops had 3,598 dead and 7,004 wounded. Furthermore, it was estimated that the total number of casualties ranged in the 800,000s. It is important to recognize that this victory would not have been possible without the bravery and sacrifice of the Canadian Corps, who we pay respect to on Remembrance Day. However, the legends of Vimy are actually a part of a much larger story. Vimy was also significant because it marked a turning point in Canadian independence and the birth of a nation. According to historian Desmond Morton, doing great things together is how nations are formed. Vimy was such a moment. Prime Minister Borden convinced Britain to recognize full Canadian sovereignty and earn us the right to sign the Treaty of Versailles independently from Britain. In a way, Canada entered the war under Britain and left the war alongside it with a greater sense of pride. Some Canadians, however, also felt quite the opposite, that the war divided Canada, particularly on the issue of conscription as part of the Military Service Act. In general, French Canadians didn't feel obliged to the war efforts because they had no loyalty to Britain and felt the Military Service Act was forcing them into a war, whilst British Canadians thought it was their duty to support their mother country. Many outspoken Quebecois critics such as Henry Bourassa were ignored. Also, some Canadians wondered why they were participating in the war in the first place. Who was Britain? And why should we be fighting their war? Furthermore, the high number of casualties mixed in with high national debt led many Canadians to think that Canada's involvement in the war was too costly and not worth it. Although there exists much debate about whether the war was a precursor for our nation's birth or ruin, one thing is certain. Remembrance Day should be a day of paying respects to those who sacrificed their lives in the name of Canada. For battles such as Vimy Ridge, we did something that others said couldn't be done. We did the impossible.